Welcome. In this training, we're going to cover the essential principles you need to know to operate a conventional lathe safely and, of course, effectively.
You know, the lathe is an incredible tool. It's both powerful and precise, but operating it like a professional, well, that all starts with a solid foundation. So let's walk through exactly what you need to know to work skillfully and, even more importantly, to work safely.
All right, before we even think about making the first cut, we have to start with the most critical aspect of your work, and that's the unbreakable link between your skill as an operator and your safety.
Look, a lathe has a lot of power, and that power absolutely demands your respect. Following the safety procedures we're about to discuss, it's not optional, it's not a suggestion, it's the core of professional machining, and it's how you protect yourself, your colleagues, and the machine itself.
Okay, so with that in mind, let's dive right in. We'll start by understanding what turning really is and get a feel for how this machine actually works.
The basic idea behind turning is actually pretty simple when you break it down. You have your workpiece, and it's spinning. Then you have a cutting tool that's stationary, but it moves along the workpiece. As it does, that action shears away material, and just like that, you're transforming a piece of raw stock into a precisely shaped part.
And this gives us a great look at the basic anatomy of the machine. The headstock, that's the powerhouse. It holds and rotates the workpiece. The carriage is what holds and guides your cutting tool. Then, way down at the other end, the tailstock is there to provide support, especially for longer workpieces. And all of this is built on top of the massive machine bed, which is crucial for stability and absorbing vibration.
So, when you get right down to it, every single operation you'll ever do on a lathe is just a combination of these three fundamental movements. You've got the rotation of the workpiece, that's the cutting motion. Then there's the linear movement of the tool, that's the feed. And finally, how deep the tool penetrates the workpiece, the depth of cut. These three things working together determine everything about your final part.
Okay, now let's talk about preparing for the cut. This is a huge step. A proper, meticulous setup is really the key to getting accurate results and keeping your work environment safe. Before you even think about hitting that power button, you have to do a full, systematic inspection. Seriously, think of it like a pilot's pre-flight check. You need to ask yourself, are my safety guards in place and working? Have I checked the emergency stop? Is my work area clean and clear of any obstacles? Is my cutting tool sharp and free of damage? And finally, am I wearing all of my required personal protective equipment? This check, it's absolutely non-negotiable.
All right, these next 4 steps in the setup process are just critical. First, you have to secure the workpiece firmly in the chuck. I mean, rock solid. Second, and trust me, we're going to come back to this one, you must remove the chuck key immediately. Third, your tool tip needs to be set to the exact center height of the workpiece. And fourth, always give the chuck a manual spin by hand just to check for clearance. Make sure nothing is going to crash once you hit the power.
Okay, so once the machine is all prepped and you've done your checks, we can start talking about actually shaping the workpiece. And there are really 2 main strategies you're going to use.
It's best to think of it as a 2-stage process. The first stage is called roughing. Here, the whole goal is just rapid material removal. You're trying to get rid of a lot of stock quickly, so you use deeper cuts and a higher feed rate. The surface will be kind of coarse, and that's okay. Then you move on to finishing. This is all about precision and surface quality. You'll use very light cuts and a much slower feed rate to hit those final dimensions and get that nice, smooth surface. Now, a facing cut, this is one of the most fundamental operations you'll perform. All it does is create a perfectly flat surface on the end of the workpiece. So you get the tool right on the center height, get the spindle running at the right speed, and then you just feed the tool from the outside diameter straight in towards the center. The result is a clean, flat face. It's so important to remember this. All the technical skill in the world doesn't mean a thing if you don't have an unwavering commitment to safety. So now, let's focus on some of the most critical mistakes, the ones you have to avoid at all costs.
So, let's start with what is probably the single most important habit you will ever develop as a lathe operator. I'm serious. This is a rule with absolutely 0 exceptions.
So, what happens? If you leave that chuck key in the chuck and start the machine, the massive rotational force instantly turns it into a deadly projectile. It gets launched with incredible force, enough to cause serious, even fatal injuries to anyone standing in the workshop.
The only prevention here is pure discipline. You have to train yourself to never let go of the key while it's in the chuck.
Make it a reflex. It should be the very last thing you do before your hand leaves that area. And even then, always do one last visual check before you hit that start button.
All right, next up is another non-negotiable rule. This one is all about your personal attire, what you can and, more importantly, what you absolutely cannot wear around the machine.
And the reason for this is as simple as it is terrifying: entanglement. Any loose material, I'm talking about gloves, baggy sleeves, necklaces, even long hair, can be snagged by the rotating parts of the lathe in an instant. It happens faster than a human can react, and it will pull you into the machine.
And this is exactly why getting yourself ready is just as crucial as setting up the machine. That means no gloves, ever. Wear short-sleeved or tight-fitting clothes. Take off all jewelry, watches, rings, you name it. And if you have long hair, it has to be secured, completely out of the way. There is just zero room for error on this. Okay, to pull all of this together, let's just quickly run through a final checklist. These are the absolute non-negotiable rules that guarantee a safe work environment every single time.
Think of these 4 rules, plus what we just covered about the chuck key and what you wear, as the foundation of your safety discipline. First, always wear your certified safety glasses. Second, never leave a running machine unattended. Third, always bring the machine to a complete stop before you try to measure or adjust anything. And last, those metal chips are like little razors. Always use a brush or a hook to clear them away, never your hands. Look, becoming a master machinist is a journey, and it's built on 3 pillars. The knowledge you've gained right here. That's your foundation. Consistent, deliberate practice. That's how you'll build your skill. But safety is different. That's your personal responsibility every single minute of every day. So please, apply what you've learned, always respect the machine, and make safety the guiding principle behind every single thing you do.